It's Teardown Tuesday, and today, as promised, I'm going to tear down that Fender guitar tuner. We're going to take a look inside it and see what makes that thing tick. I'm also going to tear down the Seiko that I use when I'm calibrating tape decks, and we'll take a look at how that one's built. Might surprise you what's inside these things, because there's not much in them. Got it down to a couple chips. Anyway, let's take a look what's inside of them. I think we're going to take this little Fender guitar tuner apart. See what's in it. What makes these things tick. I'm sure there's not much to this, so this should be a relatively quick video. But I thought it might be kind of cool to see what actually is inside these little devices. If it will come apart, I may have to use my spudger. They've glued it together. So let's just pry this thing apart. Oh, isn't that interesting? They've used a encapsulated component. The silicon chip is actually mounted right to the circuit board. More than likely. I doubt that it's a soldered on part and they've just put epoxy over it. I mean, that's always possible, but oh, there is a microphone in here. What the heck? That sure looks like a mic to me. So why did this thing not respond? Well, there is a mic, and there is holes here. It didn't look like it, but there actually is a microphone. So why did this not respond to my test tone? Interesting. Unless this device only actually responds to the actual frequency of the guitar string and not to any harmonic or any octave, whereas the other one that I use, it responds to any octave, which 440 is the A note over middle C, but the number 5 string on an actual guitar is, well, it's not. It's lower in frequency. Interesting. Unless that microphone's not working, which is, of course, a possibility, because it's going to have its own preamp circuit, which is right here. Let me go grab a battery for this thing again, and we'll see what this does. Okay, I've connected a battery. We'll turn it on. Let's see how accurate I am for the note A. Not too bad. Out of practice. Been a long time since I played music. Alright, so this thing does work. So why did it not work with that tape deck when it was off? I should have, but it didn't show. Unless I didn't have the volume loud enough. I'll put a test tape in a tape deck and we'll see what it does. So this is just a tape recorder I've got here. Flutter on this one, isn't it? Compare it to the other tuner that I've got here. See how the two of them compare. It's weird that it didn't work when I tried it before. Again, maybe I just didn't have the volume loud enough, because when it's in the case here, the microphone itself is going to be hidden in behind this cover. The holes on there are pretty small, so maybe that's why it just didn't detect. But let's see how this other one looks. This is another tape deck I haven't looked at yet. I just grabbed it. It's not even a tape deck, it's a tape recorder. It's a portable tape recorder with a speaker. So I haven't done anything with it yet. As you can see, it's a little bit on the high side, but it's not bad. But if I slow it slightly by hand, see, both of these are exactly the same. I bet that this tape recorder, if I let it play for a while, I bet it would. I bet it'll settle down a bit, because I say this thing is old and it hasn't had any use on it. It's been sitting around for a while. I've had it sitting here in the shop here for probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. And I'll bring it up at some point. We'll take a look at it. But it appears to work. It's just it's a little bit off speed. So it's one that was given to me. Anyway. Mystery solved. It does have a microphone in it. I actually thought there'd be more inside this unit than there is, but it seems to do the job. I mean, what do we got on here for components? We've got a 78L05 regulator, so it's regulating the battery voltage down to 5 volts. A 100 microfarad capacitor. There's a little diode here. There's a crystal. It looks like a 4 megahertz. 4 megahertz crystal. A microphone, a little 2.2 microfarad cap, a 100 microfarad cap, a little switch to turn it on and off, and on the back there's a couple of chip resistors, a transistor down here, and a little preamp IC, some chip resistors, and then this big blob epoxy encapsulated chip, whatever it is. They've built it right onto the board. It's a single purpose ASIC for sure. But I thought that's kind of neat. Now we can certainly take a look at this other one by comparison to see what's in this one. This one runs on a couple of AAA cells, and I'm just curious as to what differences inside this unit here. So we'll pop this one apart as well, and hopefully it'll go back together and will work. This is a Seiko branded tuner. I think I paid about $30 for this one, and yes, batteries did go bad in it once. Again, not a whole heck of a lot. Microphone on this one is on the back, which is interesting because it shows that the little mic is on the front, but if we look at it, the microphone's actually on the back, unless this has got more than one microphone, which is entirely possible that this has got more than one mic. So let's just see what's under. There's the input jack. It's not even a real jack. At least the Fender has a real plug. This is just a couple little contacts when you plug your guitar in. It just, you know, it just touches these contacts. But hey, it gets the job done. It works. It's accurate. What is on the other side? This one's got a little speaker because this one can generate the tones as well. Like this one, you can set it so that it'll generate your tone for ear tuning your guitar. instead of using this to tell you if you're on frequency, it'll generate the tone and you can ear tune it. On this one here, we've got some buttons, we've got a display, and it looks like that is the only microphone. So there's an opening in the front here for the microphone, but the microphone's actually on the back of the unit, which is kind of neat. Where's our chip on this one? Our chip is underneath the display, and it's a conventional type chip. I don't want this rubber display to fall off. It probably will. But got your LEDs here for flat, on frequency, and sharp, and then you've got the bar graph, but there's the IC underneath there. You can see it's a flat pack IC, and this one's just a generic IC, it looks like. Let's see if we can see the number on it. There's the number. And that obviously would be an ASIC of some type that's been custom designed. TUN0481. Interesting. The display is just stuck down with this. This is this rubberized contacts and the rubberized buttons on the front here for the input button. So we'll put this back together, and hopefully I didn't damage anything, because I'd really be upset if I broke my tuner. Whoops! I see something fell out there. Let's see what fell out. So that little piece that fell out was a little switch here. It just fits in here like this. It's for when you put a plug in, it disconnects the microphone, I guess the internal microphone, when you plug your guitar in directly, and it's just a little switch. It's just made out of a little piece of metal that is basically screwed down to the board. It sits like that, and then the circuit board sits on top of it and holds it in place. Talk about really minimizing what's in it. That sits in place like that. See if I can put this together without it falling apart on me again. Now my display fell off. Wonderful. Well, at least we can put the display in. That's probably how they put these together to begin with. They set the display in first, complete with the rubber contacts here, and then set the circuit board in after the fact. It's more than likely, because it's just a press fit on here, like my Fluke 12 meter for the display interface, right? Okay, let's see if this thing will go back together now and work once it goes back together. That's the important part, right? It's got to work. It doesn't do us any good if it doesn't work when it goes back together. I'll have to rely on my hearing to set the speed of tape decks. Or worse, a pitch pipe. Remember those? Anybody who's played guitar will know what a pitch pipe is. That's what we used to use to tune our guitar. There's one extra screw that's going somewhere. Oh, right there. Okay. Because I had the other two screws from the base over here. I put them in a different place on the bench. In case you guys haven't noticed, when I take things apart, I usually put the screws in separate little piles in different locations so that I remember where they go. This has got like an input and an output, right? So you can plug your guitar in and then plug your amp in and have it pass through so that the tuner can be left in line with the guitar, and you can continue to play. And what some players would do is they would take a unit like this and they'd stick a bit of Velcro on it and they'd stick it to the back of their guitar so that they could tune while they're playing. As anybody who's ever played knows, especially when you put new strings on, that you tune them up and you play the thing for 5 minutes and you're flat. The running joke about playing a guitar is that 50% of the time you're in tune and the other 50% of the time you're flat. It's true for anybody who's ever played. All right. Does it work? Yep, it works. My voice is going on me. Ooh. Yeah, it works. I'm happy. No, it didn't break it. And as you see, the lights all light up. So, yeah, it works. Excellent. And this other one, I can throw this one together. This cheap one. I should say this is the giveaway from Fender. You buy a guitar, you get a tuner. Everybody likes free, right? You get something for free. Okay, that was simple enough. Now you know what's inside a guitar tuner. Something that anybody who's fixing tape decks really could use. You get a 440 calibrated tape and one of these cheap tuners, and it just really makes setting it up easy unless you've got perfect pitch. If you got perfect pitch, you don't need it. But very few people have perfect pitch. Few musicians do, and that's about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.